Held at the Addison Township offices at 1440 Rochester Road. If we could all stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please stay standing? Dear Lord, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many abundant blessings and for our friendships. Tonight, I pray for this board, and I'm asking that you would graciously grant us wisdom to govern with understanding with the true needs of our citizens. I pray for the agenda set before us today. Please give us assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work around our beautiful Addison Township. Please remember the many prayers for the citizens of Ukraine and send a message to Russia that it's time to stop the needless destruction. It's in your blessed name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, could we start with roll call, please?
Yes. Jacob Newby. Here. Karen Geibel. Linda Garrett. Here. Ed Brakefield.
Here.
Lori Fisher. Here. Bennett, present. Supervisor Pearson.
Present. Okay, everyone's here. Announcements?
None.
Department report, Mr. Davis here. Our legal counsel, maybe could update us a little bit on the doc.
It's great to be here. Thank you all for taking a few minutes to listen. Thank you so much. Bear in mind, I get paid by the word, so it could be a while.
I'll give you that broken
but I'll be as brief as I can. So I wanted to give the board and the public just an update on the dock litigation, which has been going on for a couple of years in the township. Prior to initiating the dock enforcement program, we met and we issued a comprehensive letter 1 year in advance advising about the ordinance and making sure that as many people as we could reach received that letter. And then we began to enforce the dock ordinance as written. I just want to say at the beginning, we manage each dock case as an individual case. I got to know many people in the community, many good resolutions. Nobody was convicted of a misdemeanor. We went to no trials. We resolved all the cases. I provided the township with a comprehensive dock chart that lays out every case. It instructs the building official when to go check on agreements that we've made. It gives the status, it gives the resolution date, and it goes address by address through each dock case. And the township has that, and I'll be bringing out the box that supports that. Unfortunately, the dock cases came about right when the court was going through changes due to the pandemic. The district court initiated a program for district court prosecution issues that basically it would become the role of the prosecutor as opposed to the court to contact potential defendants, find them, talk to them. We had to verify with each judge that we spoke to the people twice before the court dates. They were demanding that things, were as resolved as possible by the time the court date hit. And quite frankly, the judges were angry if it didn't happen. So we were left trying to track down people's phone numbers. We worked with Doug and Dave, and they were just fantastic for the township. Always provided us with aerial photographs so that we were accurate. Any history that they knew, they provided to us. And we were able to have that information and work with the people of Addison Township the best we could. Not everybody was happy. I learned some new words that described me, and it was interesting sometimes, but I think at the end of conversations, we tried to foster a relationship. You just have great people out here who might, it might have started off a little on the wrong foot, but I think we always ended up in the best foot we could. I want to pass out a memo that I had issued early on to Doug and Dave with respect to how we were going to handle certain issues related to the dock issues, privilege and confidential memo. I would appreciate it if you treated it like that, but in passing, there has been some criticism about certain issues that some folks think we weren't necessarily aware of, but I want you to know that we were well aware of a lot of issues going into the dock cases, and a lot of them are expressed in this early on memo that I had issued. So I want to say, I think the cases are over. The township will have a box of documents that lays out exactly what happened on each case. We treated each individual individually. We listened to anything that people had to say with respect to their dock issues. I watched birthday parties from the 70s where the dock was in place in the background. I went to people's homes on the weekend and helped them understand how to get on Zoom so they wouldn't get defaulted by the judge. We spent an inordinate amount of time talking with people. There was no way we reduced to billing or writings all of the time that we spent with your people. It just would have been unfair to everyone involved, especially the taxpayers of this township. But it was a good project, and I hope it results in something positive for everybody. At some point, I would like to come back to you and maybe recap what I learned during the process about the docks, and maybe we can talk about that on a different day. But right now, the prosecutions are completed. The agreements are in place. I will transmit those to the famous Doug Lowe, who I see in the back of the audience there hiding. And we'll make sure that the township is aware of the agreements that we've made and monitors them for compliance going forward. Bruce Pearson always tells me the goal is compliance. We're not trying to penalize anybody. We don't want to have anybody get convicted of anything. We just want to get compliance, and those were the marching orders, and I think that's what we did.
Well, thank you very much. I know you put a lot of effort into it. It was a lot of time, and I do know that during COVID, this was extremely hard. I mean, I understand that we had to track everybody down, their telephone numbers, everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy at all, but.
I mean, I had to resort to the actual telephone book a couple times.
No.
It was interesting to find one. But it all went well, and I say, you know, this was a controversial topic for many, but I'll tell you, the citizens of this township are nice to work with.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to any other reports. Of course, they're available in my office. Just get a hold of myself or Jamie, my deputy supervisor, and we'll make those available to you. I will go on to order of business now. The agenda approval.
Yes, I have two late additions, and they're both time sensitive. Could we please add number 12, 2022 tri-party gravel expenditure, and then 13, resolution in opposition to Senate Bill 653.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Not hearing it. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Yes. Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Yes, only a few items on the consent agenda, which would be the approval of the February 14th, 2022 minutes, approval of the February 22nd bills as paid, approval of Kingsbury School Country Day Fair, and also we would need their insurance certificate, and then appointment of the 3-year park ranger appointment for Leslie Knitter. Also on the minutes, Ed would like this added, which I thought was a great idea, and it's going to be on page 6. And it's the motion for the spring cleanup in parentheses to add May 7th, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So the minutes should reflect that amendment.
With that being said, I would like to make a motion. We approve the consent agenda with its modification.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. Any comments on this? Not hearing any, could we have roll call, please?
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. We're going to move on to item number 2, which is single waste hauler survey results. The board authorized a survey for single waste hauler. Survey was pretty explanatory. Lori did come up with the results, if I'm correct. I'll ask you what the results are so you can tell everybody.
Well, this is included in your board pack. The surveys were mailed out to every home in Addison Township, actually every address that we had in Addison Township. There was a paper form that was mailed out. You could vote either by returning the paper form or there was a link to respond on the internet. We received a total of 717 votes back within the time frame that the voting was open. Of those 717, 440 voted yes, 285 voted against it, and the actual wording of the yes or no vote was, should the township work to provide a single waste hauler trash service? So that's not necessarily a yes, this is what I want, but a yes, this is what we would like you to investigate further.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have Mr. Davis here, and I know that you've negotiated many times on these garbage communities or single haulers throughout the communities. Can you give us
Yeah, sure.
a few words on that?
So, my experience with this goes back not many years, but when Shelby Township was involved in going to a single hauler, that case went through the court system. And eventually, the Michigan courts agreed that a single hauler contract for a community was not in violation of the Constitution and was not otherwise in violation of the Bolt decision. You're all familiar with Bolt, the decision involving whether you're paying for a service or it's an illegal tax. And so the court system upheld the concept of single hauler concepts. And since then, many communities have gone single hauler. The rationale normally presented on single hauler is to try to minimize the truck impacts in a community. So if you go with a single hauler and you have designated waste hauling days, the theory is that it keeps the variety of trucks independently engaged for different pockets of the community off the road. So you kind of know when your collection day is, you know the trucks will be on the roads, there's less wear and tear. And the second primary issue is the pricing. If you get into a decently long contract with a sole provider, the rates go down, and the rates go down for everybody. And that's been borne out. So right now in the Michigan legislature, there's a bill pending that's been drafted and has not died yet, but it's a bill to prohibit single hauler contracts in local governmental municipalities. So that's being watched closely. Everybody who has a single hauler relationship has sent a resolution up to the state legislature opposing that particular legislative analysis. So I'm currently working up in Mid-Michigan with the Mid-Michigan Waste Authority, and that's 34 communities. Some rural, some dense. We're working toward a selection of a hauler. I think the one that I provided the township with that is closest in character and in nature of your ruralness was the one I did for Scioto Township in Washtenaw. So I provided the township with that contract and with the ordinance that gave rise to that contract. And I would encourage you to read that particular ordinance and that particular contract, because I think it best mirrors where you're at. And then if you have questions along, I think you're going to study this. If you have questions along, that process, let me know. And we'll keep track of the legislation for you, keep you advised. And I'll certainly be able to share the benefits of other contract relationships with you so that you can see how they shake out. Primarily, one of the things you have to look at is, is your community looking for trash collection and disposal? Number 2, yard waste, and number 3, recyclables. And those are really the 3 components of these contracts. And some rural communities opt out of some of those. I would encourage all 3. I think, the concept of getting a good recycling program is a good thing, and you have a material facility, a MRF, fairly close to here that can manage those recyclables. And we're putting together contracts these days that bring revenue back to the community on a revenue share with the recyclables. So I'm getting in southern Oakland County, my communities are getting a revenue, I have 13 of them, they're getting revenue sharing back from the commodity sale of the recyclables. So we've gone on campaigns to make sure that everyone understands recycling, everybody understands what produces a good recyclable, and how, if we can, get volume and get cleanliness in our recycled materials, you can get some rebates through the commodity sales. The thing with collection is you want to make sure that your waste is going to bona fide and licensed landfills through bonded collection services. And I think in the end, the benefits are trucks off the road and pricing.
Okay, well, the reason I asked for the board to consider this was not that we're doing anything today, but give the township, or give me the authority to reach out and see what we can come back with. And so tonight, what I'm asking for is that after we heard the results, because if the results were the other way, the board would probably just drop this issue. But being that a lot of people are interested in this, what I'm looking for is a motion for to authorize the supervisor to research this and come back with some answers at the next board meeting. And I'll consult with our attorney on this, and we'll find out if it's profitable, or if it's not profitable, or if it doesn't even work in Addison Township, or it does work.
I would like to make that motion, but I'd like to add one caveat to it. Instead of calling the supervisor's office, telling them how you feel, just email the township with single waste hauler in the subject line, so at least they can read it, instead of, because if everybody was here, for an example, for single waste hauling, Bruce would never get his job done. So I would like to make that motion that we let you handle it.
I would like to suggest, I guess, in addition to the motion, of having a committee, maybe 2 of the board members and a couple residents, and form a committee to investigate this further.
I wouldn't mind being on that committee, if Bruce wants it. Would you like a committee, or would you like to just study it for
I
right
think when
now?
we get to that point, I'm just saying right now, what I'd like to do is just first of all come and I'll bring back what other communities have done, and I'll talk with Mr. Davis, and I'll bring it back to this board. And however you want to implement it after that point, I'm happy with. But let me at least get some facts here, and come back with what other communities are coming back with, and then we can have a board at that time and decide whether you want recycling and waste and all these other things. The board can decide that, and then we can put a proposal out there if that's what they want. But at least let's get some information back right now.
Does your motion stand
My
as is?
motion stands,
As is, or?
as is. Just let supervisor investigate.
Okay, does anybody else want to add anything?
I just had a question. Are we all going to see the contract that you proposed? I didn't have it in my...
There's no contract yet.
Bob said he-
The example one, yeah, I can.
I have it, and I can send it to all of the board member unless you want to.
I just didn't see
I
it,
kind of
so-
stopped researching when we decided that we wanted to put a break on things. And I think I have your ordinance as well.
Yeah, and they're all public records, so she can.
They were the best ones written out of all the ones that I researched. His were really good.
Wow.
I just have to check his work.
Yeah, I know. Got checked.
Yeah, Pauline said she found a whole bunch of them, but mine was the best.
We have a motion, and could you state your motion again, just so? we
Yeah,
know?
on the waste hauling, just pass it to the supervisor, let you research it and report back at a later date.
And do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
And we have a second. Does anybody else have anything to add on that? I believe this is going to be a long process. It isn't going to happen in a month or 2 months or whatever. It's going to be a long process. We may find out of the blue that because of the price of fuel that these contracts have gone out of sight now. We don't know, but we can at least find out what, bring it back and then let the board decide how they want to handle it. So we do have a motion and a second. Any
This-
other comments?
Yeah, just a point of order, I think this would just be a yay or nay instead of a
Yes.
roll call.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
We have one nay, okay. And then it passes, and I'll come back next month. I'll consult with Mr. Davis, and he can give us a bunch of documents that everybody can see, and let's see where we stand on this.
Do you think you can get it done in a
His
month?
motion was not for next month, so it gives you time.
Mine says give you time to do it.
Oh, that's right, you're going to Florida, so it might be a month after that.
Okay, so Bruce says that's the extent of my talking.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're on to item number 3. This is a long one. We'll start out with 3A. This is the Special Assessment District for Monadic. It's the public hearing, a resolution for the Special Assessment District for Monadic and Ketchakoma. This is the second and final hearing before the board tonight. The township received petitions signed by more than 50% of the record owners, constituting more than 50% of the total frontage of the proposed SAD located within Addison Township, requesting the amount of $1,301.54 per parcel for each of the next 7 years to pay for the proposed improvements with a 5% collection fee from the township. Proper notice of the hearing was published in the Oxford Leader, and proper notice has been mailed by first class mail to each property owner within the proposed SAD. There were some issues last month for lack of information. We do have a representative here, and I think most of those were answered. Everybody went over to the other side over the seniors, and I think they had the drawings, and everybody looked at those. I think a lot of questions were answered at that time. But if you have any questions, I'm going to open up this hearing, and you just need to come up and state your name at the podium, and we keep it to 3 minutes. And if it's redundant, we'd like to keep it so that it's something new every time, and if you're going to say the same thing somebody else said, we'll acknowledge that. But we'd like all the new stuff that everybody would like us to hear. This is where we listen. We only listen. We don't make any comments, okay? So I will open up the hearing right now, and I'll call it at 6:24. And if anybody would like to direct their comments, please come forward and please speak, state your name and speak, please.
My name is Doug Lowe. I'd like to thank Bob for the introduction, although it was a little dubious. Make a long story short, since the last meeting on this, it's been 5 weeks. We've had these drawings in the office available here for 5 weeks as we agreed to. We haven't had one request. My wife and I have 3 parcels involved, 1 on Ketchakoma and 2 on Monadic. So we have more parcels involved than anyone else. I don't mind paying a little more for my neighbors to have a nice clean access to their homes. We needed 51%. We had 28 signatures required. We got 21, so we had 75%. So it's overwhelmingly in favor of this. It's all designed, permitted, ready to go.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Come forward here. You want us to state your name?
Bert Chinoski, I live over on 510 Manatic, and I'm here to say I'm wholly for it because getting tired of all the mud and the dust and all that good stuff. I've lived on Manatic for 19 years now, and I've owned property even longer than that. And like Doug, I've got 2 parcels, so I'm very in favor of this going through.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Chester Zahowski, 600 Manatic, whichever. I'm in favor as well. Want to clean up the water, get rid of the chloride going in the lake, all the silt going in the lake from the erosion, have positive flow away from people's garages as opposed to water going into people's garages. And I think it's a very good idea. And like Doug said, we've got a large percentage that are in favor for the project. I would hope you'd vote for it. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak on this? Yes, come forward.
Kurt Seamack, 652 Monadic. I'm in favor of this. I have 2 partials. One of the things that you don't realize is that in the wintertime when you use a snow blower, your snow blower gets chewed up by all the rocks and things that are in the road, and that's another advantage that I think we'll get out of this, that you'll be able to clear the snow to get in and out of your parking area without the technicalities that we have today.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll ask one more time. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening. John Insko, 555 Monadic. I also own 2 parcels. The last house on the right on Monadic, I'm constantly dealing with the ruts and the water flow issue, and also my parcel will be where the piping will be connected to my culvert for the outflow to the lake. And also what my main concern is to, hopefully you guys positive on this, is that the bay or the cove is just filling up with silk. I've been there for 6 years, and right now probably about 24 inches thick now. So what's happening with the marina around Rogers' facility and my property line, and also our gateway out to the main lake, is closing up. So I hope everything can become positive, and hopefully we can get a resolution. Thank you.
I'll ask one more time. Anyone else like to speak on the SAD on Monadic, Catchacoma? Not hearing any. I'd like to close the hearing at, we'll call it 6:27. I'd ask for a motion to move the resolution.
I'll move the resolution to establish a special assessment district requesting the Township Improvement Revolving Funds for Monadic and Catchacoma project and the SAD to include both public and private roads.
I'll support.
I have support. Anybody else have any?
Well,
to add?
that does, at Doug's request, the potholes are staying for you guys? Is that good, Doug? We left the potholes for you? Sure. No, that was,
Well, first of all, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Can we have roll call on this, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Guyval. Lori Fisher. Yes. Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, the resolution is so moved. I would like to thank everybody for all the work they did on this. I've been over there many times trying to resolve the problem with the mud and the all of the debris going into the bay there. And I think this is a positive result. And the township, I think, with this revolving fund, we will pay and for the contractor, and then we'll recoup the money back later. This is a positive, I think, for the township for the paving of some of these side roads. Thank you. Okay, now, Let me see, we got two-van trail. Two-van trail is another special assessment. This is the second and final hearing before the board tonight. Township Board received petitions signed by more than 50% of the record owners based on the tax rolls of Oakland County constituting more than 50% of the total frontage, and the proposed SAD requesting the amount of $300 per parcel for each of the next 5 years to cover maintenance or improvements with a 5% collection fee for the township. Proper notice of the hearing has been published in the Oxford Leader on February 2nd and February 9th, 2022, and mailed by first class mail to each property owner within the proposed SAD. Again, this is a public hearing. This is where we listen, and all the questions should be directed to me, and I'll open up the meeting. We'll say it's at 6:30, and if you just come forward on anything you'd like to say on the two-van trail SAD, come forward and state your name and come to the podium. I'll ask one more time. Anybody has anything to say on the SAD for two-van trail? Not hearing anybody. I'd like to close the hearing at 6:31. I'd ask for a motion to move the resolution.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Can I have roll call, please?
So the motion was to move the resolution, right? Okay. Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Guybo.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, the resolution is so moved. Okay. I'm going to read this once because we have many SADs, and then I will handle each SAD separately, but I'm going to read the introduction just once. We can't call them gypsy moss anymore. I guess they're Brillo moss or what, spongy moss, whatever they are. But anyways, this is the first reading for the gypsy moth SADs. They were proposed by residents that took it upon themselves to both qualify the areas and get the petitions for the areas to help with the mitigation of the spongy moth in the area. Many have said they did not want to go through another gypsy moth or spongy moth year in 2022. In the proposed district, the township received petitions signed by more than 50% of the record owners constituting more than 50% of the total parcels and land area located within the township, requesting the amount of up to $175 per acre per parcel for 1 year for 2022 to pay for the spongy moth aerial spray with the 5% collection fee for the township. Proper notice of the hearing was published in the Oxford Leader, and the notice issued by the first class mail to each property owner within the proposed SAD. With the 5% administrative fee is applicable to all. The SATs that are participating with the county and MSU, Michigan State University, and will be eligible for county credit on the SAD, and the township up to 50% credit as well. The independent SAD is eligible for up to the 50% credit from the township. It's an aerial spray, and the company works closely with Michigan State University Extension. The spray is a naturally occurring forest health product that contains soil bacterium, bacillus, and I can't pronounce it, but it's called BTK, that specifically affects gypsy moth caterpillars that are feeding at the time of the treatment. It has no known impact to non-target organisms such as humans, pets, birds, fish, or other insects. To give you an idea of the costs, and based on the county information we received so far, the estimates and the tiered rate based on participation through the county. 500 to 1,000 acres was $187.87 per acre. With the credits applied, the SAD rate for the residents will be around now $41 per acre. Above 1,000 acres, which we have reached, I think we have 1,045 as of today. And I think the county is at 1,045, and the SAD might be around $6 per acre now. It's a huge drop. As soon as we reach that 1,000 acre mark, But we have to wait until the final figures come in, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We receive information, the invoice for the sprayer, but I want everyone to know that their SAD should drop significantly now that we have that many people involved. Because it went by the more acreage you got, the cheaper it got. So it's dropped dramatically now. I'd like to thank everybody for their patience and dedication and all the people that worked on this. There were a lot of people that worked on this. This was not easy. We're the only township. We got the most areas, okay, to get sprayed. We were devastated last year, and we're trying to do something about it. So with that, I will announce that each SAD area that's open for public hearings. And once again, this is where we listen. I'll go by road, and I'll open and I'll close it, and someone can speak if they wish on those particular SADs. At this time, I'd like to open up the SAD on Township Road, and I'll open that at, we'll call that 6:34. And if anybody would like to come up to the podium on the SAD on Townsend, please come forward. I'll ask one more time if anybody would like to come forward on the SAD on Townsend. Not hearing anybody, I'd like to close. We'll say the meeting is at 6:35. I'll be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to, make sure I have the right one. Resolution to establish a special assessment district and requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for land area within Addison Township, and this one would be for 120 Townsend.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments for board? Hearing none, could I have roll call on that, please?
Yes. Karen Geibel. Yes. Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. The resolution is so moved. We will now go on to Hagerman. I'll open the meeting at, we'll say 6:35. This is for Hagerman. For the SAD, if anybody has anything to say on Hagerman, please come forward. I'll ask one more time on Hagerman. If anybody would like to speak on the SAD. Not hearing any, I'd like to close that at 6:36. I'd entertain a motion on that.
I will make a motion to move the resolution to establish a special assessment district requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for the land area within Addison Township, Hagerman Road.
I'll second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Not hearing any, could we have roll call on that, please?
Karen Geibel. Yes. Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett. Yes. Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. That resolution is so moved. I'll move on to Spruce, Oak Trail, Piney Hill, White Pine. I'll open up this hearing. We'll call it at 6:30. I'm running out of time here. 6:36, I guess. And I'll ask if anybody has anything to add that you'd like us to hear on Spruce, Oak Trail, Piney Hill, White Pine in reference to the Special Assessment District. I'll ask one more time. Anybody would like to speak? Not hearing anybody, could I close the meeting at 6:37? Entertain a motion on that, please.
Move a resolution to establish a special assessment district and requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for Spruce Street, Oak Trail, Piney Hill Court, and White Pine Drive.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, could I have roll call on that, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that resolution is so moved. I'll move on to F, which is Moffett and Ewell. I'll open that hearing. We'll say 6:38. If anybody would like to speak on that special assessment district for Moffett and Ewell, please come forward. I'll ask one more time. Anybody would like to speak on that? On Ewell and Moffett, the SAD? Not hearing any. I'll close the meeting at 6:39. I'll be open for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to establish a special assessment district for requesting township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation, the land area within Addison Township, Moffett and Yule Road.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments from anyone on the board? Not hearing any. We have roll call, please.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Karen Guyval.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that resolution is so moved. We'll go on to G, which is Harmony Hills, Dante Court, Nutcracker Court, Bar Road, Snowflake Court, and I think 3316 Drainer. I'll open this meeting at, let's say, 6:39. And if anybody on Harmony Hills, Dante, Nutcracker, Bar, Snowflake, and Drainer, if you have anything to say on the SAD, I'll ask one more time. Anyone would like to speak on the Special Assessment District? Not hearing any, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move the resolution to establish a special assessment district requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for land area within Addison Township, Harmony Hills.
And I close that hearing at 6:40, just want to make that. So we have a motion,
I'll support.
and we have support. Okay, any further comments? No further comments? We have roll call, please.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Guyval. Linda Garrett. Bennett, yes. Lori Fisher. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, the resolution is so moved. Now we'll move on to H, which is Drainer Road. I'll open up this hearing at 6:40. If anybody would like to speak on the SAD on Drainer Road, please come forward.
Jerry Reeves.
Yes.
I believe you have a letter from me already.
Yes.
Okay. I'm objecting to the special assessment district. I don't know how it was determined, but I don't like the way the cost is being divvied up. There are 9 households in that special assessment district. It should be divided by 9 households, okay, instead of by a lot. Well, I'm getting hit with 35% of the cost for the special assessment district. Does not seem adequate. Also, it was rather arbitrary because adjacent land, Markwood, is not included. So I'll be back here in 2 years to go through the same thing again. The question on why Markwood was not included has yet to be adequately answered. Also, as far as this hearing goes, if you look at Act 188, 1954, Section 41.724A, Notice of Hearings and Special Assessment Proceedings, Paragraph 2. If a published notice includes a list of property identification numbers of the property to be assessed, that published notice shall also include either a map depicting the area of the proposed special assessment district or a written description of the proposed special assessment district. The listing in the paper included 3 property identification numbers. There was no map and no description. Yes, I will be challenging it on the cost, the selection, the forming of the special assessment district. So I do not want the spray on my property. It is private property. It's not shared property. Nobody goes on it except for me. So I am challenging it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on Drainer Road SAD? Anyone else would like to speak on the Drainer Road SAD? Okay. I'd like to close the meeting, that hearing at, we'll call it 6:43. Any comments from the board, or a resolution, or a motion would be in order?
Were there a majority of signatures on Drainer Road?
Yes.
Correct.
So I would like to move the resolution to establish a special assessment district requesting township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for land area within Addison Township Drainer Road.
And we have support. We have a motion of support. Any further from the board? Not hearing any. We have roll call on that, please.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes?
Karen Guybo.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, the resolution is so moved. Thank you. I think this is one of the biggest meetings I've ever had. I've got a stack here tonight, so I'm trying to get through some of this. Okay, we're on item number 4 here. The Addison Township Public Library resolution for final site plan.
Nope, you got
You're jumping
Bar
ahead.
Where we
Road,
have more? Where we
Addison
at?
Hills, Farmbrook.
Bar Road,
SAP's
Apache,
back.
Cherokee.
We're gonna be on
I want them on page,
Bar Road.
well, I'm not done. I was thinking maybe we order pizza or something later, but where am I at now? Oh, there's a 4th or 5th.
There's an I, J, and K.
Okay, now. Okay, well, now we're on, what, Bar Road, Apache, Cherokee, Shoshone Court. Open this hearing, I will call it at 6:45. If anybody would like to speak on, is there any roads that we left out in Addison Township? I'm not sure.
There's a few.
Bar Road, Apache, Cherokee, Shoshone Court. If anybody would like to speak on those, please come forward. It's not that funny.
Good evening. Our area was hit particularly hard last year by the moths formerly known as gypsies. And judging by the egg sac count that I saw today just doing yard work, I think that we're going to get hit really hard again if we don't spray. So I just want to come and put my support behind the effort to spray for gypsy moths. And I also would like to acknowledge the hard work and effort of Jamie Martell, because she did a yeoman's job, and it is appreciated by our section. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak? That one opens this one. Not hearing anyone else that wanted to speak on that? I'll close the meeting, and we'll call it this one at 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was just for the road. I'd like to speak for Farmbrook Trail. Are you still going down the roads?
Yes, but which road are you looking
I'm
for?
on Farmbrook Trail.
Oh, we'll get to you.
Okay,
That's on page 19. We have 20 ahead of you yet. Anyways, we'll close the hearing at, what did I say, 6:47? What I'm looking for is a motion to move the resolution.
Move the resolution for the special assessment district using the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for land area in Addison Township. Where's there?
Right here, just read this.
Bar Road area.
Yeah, you got it.
Apache, Cherokee, Shoshone Court.
I'll second.
And we have a second.
I'll second it.
We have one from Jacob
Oh,
already.
Jacob got it? Okay.
Any further comments from the board on this one?
I would like that comment about Jamie to go in for the record, not just passed over.
Jamie
That's-
It was
Martell.
during his public hearing, so it will be.
It will be, good.
Yep.
Just so you know who Jamie is, Jamie Martell is the deputy supervisor. She works in my department, and she's phenomenal. So anyways, so we have that closed, we have a resolution, and we have a second, and no other further comments. We'll have roll call, please.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes?
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Karen Guybo.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, resolution is so moved. Now we'll move on to, I guess, the next one is Addison Hills Court. I'll I'll open up this hearing at 6:48. Anyone on Addison Hills Court that would like to speak on the Special Assessment District?
Hi, Nancy Zuccaro from Addison Hills Court. Just want to say that I've lived in the Addison Township for at least 28 years. Last year was the worst case of the gypsy moths or spongy moths that you'd like to call it. We privately sprayed probably about 15 years ago, just in our neighborhood, and it was very successful in reducing the quantities that we have ever since. So fully support of it, and I also appreciate someone mentioning Jamie, thank you. I was thinking her last name, for all the work that she did in communication with the Michigan State. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on Addison Hills Court? Okay, not hearing anybody. I'd like to close that one at 6:50. I'd be open for a motion, move the resolution.
I'll move.
That motion. I figure I'll take a turn.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to establish a special assessment district requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for land area within Addison Township, Addison Hills Court.
Okay, any further comments from the board? We have one motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Mr. Brakefield? We have roll call then.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, resolution is so moved. Now we'll move on to Farmbrook. Now you get your time.
Mr. Supervisor, let's just pass on Farm Brook and just keep going.
I knew.
Okay, I'll open up this meeting at 6:51. If you'd like to comment on Farmbrook, please go right ahead.
My name is Nicole Knight, and with the information that I've received, I actually object to the motion, mostly because I spoke with Rob, who is the owner of Aura LLC, who's doing, I don't know if he's doing all of the aerial spraying or just our particular 160 square acres. So when I asked the association president for the information, I actually was just given the information last week. So people voted on it, but when I questioned efficacy and safety and the financial aspect, it was, well, we won't know until we push it through. So that was my first concern. So I spoke with Rob, and he said that, and again, I don't know if this is just for our lane or if this is for everything listed, but they're actually only doing one application. So from the research I've done, and from he specifically noted as well, that the best approach is 2 applications a couple weeks apart, because you're dealing with, the temperatures have to be ideal, there has to be no precipitation for 4 days at least. And so it's a very, very technical process of when it's actually applied. And he said because the hatching actually varies within a couple weeks, even from one parcel to the next, that they actually like to do 2 applications to make sure that it's covered. And then after the 2 applications in the 1 year, they actually want to apply every year following that. So he confirmed that for Farmbrook Trail at least, there's only 1 application. So my whole thing is, I don't mind, we have to weigh the pros and cons, but there was absolutely 0 discussion on the pros and cons. And then furthermore, we're not even treating it in the ideal way. So Rob from Aura stated, he does do drone spraying, which he highly recommends, but obviously that would be more costly because that would be on an individual basis, per tree. So with the information, again, it's not that, we have our apple trees are destroyed, so we are suffering from the infestation as well. And I don't know if you can answer my question or maybe at a later date, but he also confirmed that it requires more than 30% coverage for it to be considered an infestation. And he did say that Oxford and Addison Township are at that level. I know the board shut down the proposal for this year in December. They shut it down in Oxford for the aerial spraying across the Oxford in general. So I don't know if it was proposed for Addison Township, for the whole township to be sprayed. I'm not sure why it's only specific streets. What's that? Just because of cost? Did someone? Anyway, I don't know if that was proposed.
We can't answer you.
Okay,
What do we
okay.
listen to?
I'm sorry, but I don't know if that's been proposed. But anyway, those are my concerns because, as he said, when it's very individual parcels, but obviously, you know, if we're sprayed, but we back up to Pollyann and there's, you know, wooded area everywhere that's not getting sprayed, all the moths are going to do is transfer back over, especially because of only one application being applied. It's not as effective. So again, my objection is to the lack of a complete spray, in my opinion. Thank you.
Any other comments on Farmbrook?
Hi, my name is Carleen McGinley. I live on 2850 Farmbrook Trail, and I object to the spraying of my property. I own 5 1/3 acre, and I object to it on, the only way I can say this is it's not sustainable. We've known from past experiences of many different types of insects, people, cattle, chickens, birds, that when you do one thing, it causes another. I believe that our trees in Michigan and across the United States and other parts of the world are being somehow infested with things that are making the trees susceptible to these insects. And I believe that this is just a pinpoint of what you're seeing, and there's something other that's causing these things. If you look at trees, they have this green mold stuff growing on them, and I'm sure that the moths will probably devastate those trees more and therefore kill them. But a healthy tree wouldn't be devastated by these moths. It would still have enough energy to grow. And as far as my property is concerned, I have been devastated by the pine beetle. It's ruined lots and lots of trees on my property. And nothing was done with that. I'm not sure what happened to the pine beetle, but how many times are we going to do this? And how many times are we going to spray? And just because somebody from a university said this is okay, we really don't know that. I was reading some things regarding why the gypsy moths go to the top of the tree, and over their evolution, a virus has been put into them, a natural virus, not a man-made virus, and that has made them go to the very top of the tree, because evidently they got devastated closer to the bottom of the tree. So they somehow they've adjusted themselves, so now they're going higher and higher. So I'm not sure exactly where this is all going to go, but that's my viewpoint, and I'm against the spraying, and thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Farmbrook Trail? Yes.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Alan Kelman. I'm actually the president of the Homeowners Association. And I know it's a matter of record, but I just wanted to go ahead and state that we had, out of the 27 and 28 parcels, we had everybody with the exception of 2 signed the petition. We had over 40 signatures. I will certainly get with Nicole and conceivably have another board meeting to discuss some of the concerns that she has raised, which I think need some discussion. But I wanted to make sure that the record is clear that the vast majority of the residents do favor the participating in the SAD.
Thank you. Anyone else on Farmbrook Trail?
So Greg Kasnick, 2900 Farmbrook Trail. I object to it as well. Like Mrs. Knight, there wasn't a lot of information shared with the reasons for the moth or caterpillar. reasons for them, to be attracted, and what issues could happen from, the worms or caterpillars, whatever, that are dead and fall to the ground or whatever. It's an equestrian sub that we have. It's there's no hunting allowed, so it's kind of a refuge of deer. So it's a very pretty natural area where all the deer are coming because nobody's hunting. So my concern is, what's the issues if, the deer or any other wildlife eat any of the dead, insects or anything like that. There hasn't been anything shared, with any of the questions that were asked in any of the email from the association members with any of this information. So not a lot of information shared, and I think for myself, my wife, and others, that's probably a big thing, is give us more information on it. Why is it so important? We've been here 22 years. It's kind of the first time it's been brought out as being a big issue. So I object to it for our property.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on Farm Brook Trail? I'll ask one more time. Anyone on Farm Brook Trail? Okay, I will close that hearing at 7:02. And I'd be open for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to establish a special assessment district and requesting the township improvement revolving funds for gypsy moth mitigation for the land area within Addison Township, Farm Brook Trail.
I offer support. Can I add, though, that just like with Monodic, not to add to the motion, but like with Monodic, there was a lot of people that didn't receive information, and then the head of that committee held a meeting and had this discussion. This is only number one of the first resolution that we have to pass. So we are going to go forward, and then the second resolution would be the ultimate decision. So it sounds like maybe that there'll be some discussion going on in that area.
I'd like to just add something too, just for the folks that are, to get more information, you can go back and read the minutes of the prior meetings that will tell you a lot about the discussion that was had with the board as far as cost for spraying the whole township and things like that. So I know that that's details in the minutes, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from any board member? Not hearing any. Could we have roll call, please?
Lenny Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Rickfield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Guybo.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that resolution is so moved. Now am I done?
Yes.
Okay. Move on to item number 4 here, the Addison Township Public Library resolution for final site plan approval, parcel number 0527256-009 and 0527254-007. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate the library on getting the grant. I talked to Congresswoman Slockton, called me. We had a long discussion, and she was very happy that you guys got your $500,000. And I was at the OCATS, which is a supervisors meeting of all the supervisors in the county, and they brought that up, that they were very happy that Addison Township, a small township like us, got that kind of money from Congress. So that was very good. The Addison Township Public Library resolution for final site plan review. The board received the information pertaining to the site plan approval. This project is ready for us to approve. Planning Commission recommends approval of the site plan. Our engineers issued a thorough report recommending approval. Same with the fire chief recommends approval. The conditions are not unusual at this stage, but it expedites the approval process for the applicant. The resolution before the board recommends final approval. There's one area the Planning Commission requested us to review the hours of the lighting. Okay, I know that in the residential area, I don't know, you might want to make sure the lights are down, or maybe towards the residential homes, maybe they go off at a certain time or whatever. Does the library have a recommendation for the lighting?
Just the hours.
Just the hours.
The hours, yeah.
If you could just
Yeah,
come up here and speak so we can get it on the record, that's all.
So, James Osarelli, I'm the applicant representative from the Addison Township Public Library. I believe we did submit some information on the lighting. I apologize, I'm referencing the construction manager for that, the photometric. And we did agree to some of the trees, the taller trees, to be able to screen to the residential area, so I think that would be beneficial there. We discussed it in one of our board meetings. We think, we just wanted the lights to be on long enough to be able to allow lighting during the dark periods when we have programs that go on. So we came up with 11 p.m. I think we could live with that, and if there's something ahead of us that we knew was going to run later, maybe we can make the residents aware or come forth to the township to maybe work on that.
The design is so foot candles are almost not consistent with the perimeter.
I'm sorry.
I was asking, will all the lights be on till 11 p.m.? Like, is there a way to turn off some that are possible?
So possibly. So what I would, we're, I guess, in question all the exterior lighting. We do, I believe, have some cam lighting on the entrance. There's an overhang there and some going down. Maybe, I think there might be 4 or 5. Maybe we would have 1 or 2 of those on for safety and those that are putting books in after hours. So those we would like to maybe stay on maybe all night, and they're also not facing, building kind of blocks going to the residential area in that aspect. But, maybe we can work with turning off some of the lights in the rear of the parking lot, furthest away, and maybe keeping people parked close. I would have to take a look at some of the lights to see what.
So we don't want to have you to come back again, so that's
I know.
why I'm trying to be specific
Can I say something?
as far as, so you want some
The
for
site
safety.
lighting layout is designed so the foot candles at the perimeter of the property are 1 foot candle, which is almost nothing. So despite the hours, which I'm sure the library will work with you on, there's almost no bleed off the property from the lighting, if the concern is light leaving the property.
I think the can lightings are excellent. I mean, that's a very low lighting, you see them on all people's houses all the way around. I think what the area probably is worried about is like the parking lot lights and stuff, how they're bright and you want them to shine down and not circular and stuff. I think what most people, because you do want to walk out in a safe environment where the parking lot is all lit up, it goes up. But after a certain time, maybe the lighting will, diminish in the parking lot and stuff.
It might be a little, the background is a little vague, but if you looked at sheet number ES100, as James Ratliff, the construction manager, was just commenting, the candlelight, foot candles. I mean, we're not even at the property edge, and it's down to 1.3. Over by the dumpster pad, it's down at 0.6, 0.5, which is pretty close to the property line. So I don't think it's, and especially with we're gonna have those spruces along there. I think, any light intrusion into the neighborhood.
So how about something along the line so that we don't have to come back again? 11 p.m. except for those designated.
7 p.m.
11 p.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard,
except for those designated for safety, and would it be through the building official or the fire department? I guess it's open to the board too.
I was wondering, what hours is the library open to normally?
The latest they're open to is 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
So 10 o'clock would be very reasonable, I think.
James, unless there are after-hours meetings.
Yeah, so the 11 p.m. came up just because there are after-hour meetings, there are after-hour clubs that use the library for purposes that maybe they don't want, whatever, gaming and stuff. We let them use the library for stuff like that. So that's why we came up with the 11, just to try to stretch it out to accommodate all those great activities.
Unreasonable if they're the last person that leaves to resolve
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah, but wouldn't they be on a timer?
Those would most likely probably be on a timer, I would assume so, yeah.
Do you have something to add on this? Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the planning committee, and remember we talked about the lighting issue. I guess it didn't come across as well communicating to you guys. We're talking about the sign. We're talking about how bright an LED sign would be and distracting on the road.
That's addressed in the resolution.
Yeah, and make sure that that's in there. That was the main concern on the lighting.
There's one area that the planning commission did not address under special use, so we're trying to button that up right now.
The reason being is there's houses around.
I know.
In the parking lot, those lights make it look like daylight, and we want it to be safe, so we want those lights there when people exit. But how do you make it so they go off so everybody can go to bed at night?
11 p.m. except for those that have been designated for safety by the building official.
I could go along with that.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with it, to be honest. They might even be adjusted to go off sooner, because there's just gonna be more money.
That should give you,
right?
that should give you enough.
Exactly, I think that's what it would give us, that allocation. It's there if we need it. If we don't need it, we're not gonna use it.
So I'd like to make a motion to move the resolution approving the Addison Township Public Library final site plan dated February 24th, 2022, and with the addition for number 2 is going to be addressed as 11 p.m. except for those designated for safety by the building official.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and we have support. Any comments from the rest of the board?
I actually have just one quick comment, because I remembered as James is flipping that huge packet over, I really like looking through these on the computer. Is it possible, instead of getting those big packages, that we could get electronic copies?
As soon as we change our ordinance and as soon as everybody else agrees.
Because I did have mine on my floor in my office, and I was crawling around trying to look at it, so.
I do electronic as well.
That's for people who have good eyesight.
Well, I don't have a big enough desk.
I believe it was submitted electronically in addition. This one was submitted right at the time of getting onto the agenda, and that was not through myself, it was through our, maybe it was through NFE, but, so I'm not sure.
I think we require it in paper copy. It was just kind of a side comment of I really like the electronic copy.
Does that mean we all get AutoCAD 2022?
PDF, so it's compatible with anything, yeah.
We have a motion and we have a second. Anything else that pertains to the motion here? Not hearing any, can we have roll call, please?
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Linda Garrett. Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that's moved. Thank you. Congratulations.
I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of this board and get your guys' attention.
Okay, where am I now? Okay, we're on to item number 5 now. The Addison Township Lakeville Cemetery Resolution for final site plan approval review. Part of the 05-34-101-002 located at 825 Greener Road for the project of adding 5 Columbarium units. Okay. This site plan is much simpler, as we aren't dealing with the building construction, but more so for the foundation and the location within the cemetery. The Planning Commission recommends approval, as did the township engineer. The resolution is ready for us to move. Is there any questions? Pauline will answer any questions. Anybody have any questions on this?
I'll move the resolution for final site plan review for the Columbarium project located within Addison Township at Lakeville Cemetery.
I'll second. I'll second it.
We had Jacob second it first?
Jacob's always
Yeah,
in front.
He's younger. Okay, so. Okay, any other questions from the board on this one?
Great job.
Yeah, I think Pauline did a great job on it.
We're not
Don't
done
quote
yet.
me. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, if there's no other questions from the board, could we have roll call, please?
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and the resolution is so moved. Okay, we're on to item number 6, a resolution adopting the General Appropriations Act for the fiscal year 2022 through 2023. The board's worked on this budget for a long time. The resolution incorporates the adoption of the 22-23 budget. And I'll just ask, does anybody have any other questions on the budget? We've gone through this since, I think it was January when we started, January.
December.
Does anybody have any questions? If there aren't any questions, I'd be ready for a motion.
I make the resolution adopting the General Appropriations Acts for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Support. And we have support?
Is that Karen?
Yes. Okay, does anybody have any other further comments? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Karen Geibel. Yes. Lori Fisher. Yes. Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, resolution so moved. Okay. Number 7, this is the approval of the specifications and expenditure for a pier at the Lake George Park for $54,480 from the 22-23 budget, 208-751-954-001. The park is moving forward to improve the Lake George Park. This is benefit for all residents that enjoy outdoor activities and use of the lake. The park will also be accessible that way. The park committee is a diligent group that works hard for the betterment of our parks, and I also suggest that the expenditure be considered for the ARPA funds. I do know that we have a representative, the chairman, one of the chairmen of the park committee. If you could stand up here, Rod Blazak. Does anybody have any questions concerning the dock from the chairman here?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. My name is Mary Frost. I live in Addison Township on Lake Road. I'm a kayaker, and that lake is at the bottom of a big hill, and I was wondering where exactly you're going to put this pier, and is it going to be handicap safe, which I'm sure it is going to be. It has to be. So,
as you know, Rod Blazak and I went up to Lansing, and we spoke in front of the trust fund, and we did get the grant for Lake George Park, and it was dedicated for people with disabilities. We are in the process, we put another grant in to make the trail from Oakland County. That's where the grant is for that now, and that will be a 3% grade all the way down to the dock, and then the dock will be, once this is the base that's put out, and then we do have plans to have a ADA approved kayak launch with the rollers to put in like they have up at Lost Lake in Oakland Township. But it's step by step to get to this process. We have to get this trail, we have to get a dock there, and then we can put the flotations for people with disabilities. And
thank you.
That's how we got that grant, and so we have to fulfill that.
I have a suggestion. Can you make a tow rope so the kayak can go up there? Well, thank you for your concern. Thank you very much.
Okay. Come on. Anybody on the board have any questions on the park?
Kind of just a question on this contractor. Is this the only bid that we got, or?
No. We've been working on this project for quite a while now. This is, we started on it in the spring of last year, specifically speaking about the fishing pier. When you look at Lake George, the easiest way to phrase it would be similar to, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. So the dock and the pier is a separate piece. The trail to the lake frontage is a separate piece. The trail, we've applied for a grant for that right now. That's pending. We should be knowing more about that beginning of April sometime. The Eagle permit that will allow us to proceed with the pier has been put in since beginning of February. The whole park we've been working on since we've acquired it. So by breaking it down into pieces, we've been able to manage it, as the entire park committee is all made up of volunteers. And those people have really worked very frugally and hard to deliver this to the township. So the pier itself is really what we're focusing on right now. The pier will be made to be, it's accessible to everyone. The trail to the pier, we're trying to make handicapped with a 3% grade because that is a steep slope. We're doing it a piece at a time, get the pier done first, get the trail in after that, so we don't mess that all up with the equipment and such that we'll have to bring in to complete the pier. The trails and all of that are following small developments on that. But all of this was brought to the parks with the acquisition of the properties that we filled back in 2011, I think, somewhere around there.
2009, I think we
Thank you.
Lansing.
So through that, the DNR, the Six Rivers Foundation, we put our grants all in. All of this was done through. The development was pre-approved with the acquisition of the properties through the grants, through the DNR. So the dock itself was written and designed by those persons that helped us acquire that property. So the Eagle permit should be coming to us soon. All of the plans were pre-approved through DNR, through Six Rivers, and all of those entities that helped us through.
I know you're asking how many bids. Yes, there were multiple bids on the dock. I believe they went out to 4 different bids.
We had 4 different bids on that. We've selected the final 3, and of those, we made the decision on the person that is being granted. We need that money for him to receive the monies to start the program. With that receiving of monies, he'll order the material that's needed for that. We're looking at steel poles for our pilings on that, on which we build the decks. When he receives that money, he'll order the material. It'll take him about 3 to 4 weeks to get the material in. From that point in time, he'll start his construction. We are focused on trying to get all of this done before September, the end of September. We're really trying to get it done before the end of July, and if we're lucky, we might even have it done by the end of June. But it's coming down to the approval for fundings and monies and everything at that point forward that we're here today trying to get that approval.
So the Eagle application just was received in February, you said?
Sorry?
The Eagle application was submitted in February?
Correct. We've been working on it for a few months prior to that, talking with John. That's the regional district manager for Oakland counties. He's assisted us with that. He's moved it forward. It's gone to the notification stage to the neighbors now. There'll be a private meeting on that. From him, it's been turned over to Ann. She's one of the girls that was with the DNR and the original group that helped us put together the request for grant through that whole process. I have not heard from her yet, but I'll probably give her a call this week, and I expect that early into April sometime we'll be hearing back from them with regards to all of that follow-up.
So it's in a public hearing status right now?
Yes.
Notice, public notice, yes.
Yes.
It's a public notice, public hearing, so there's what?
It's not a hearing, it's a notice.
No, they believe that we'll have an answer by April 1st. Okay, and I did talk to the DEQ John there,
Yeah.
and he did
John
not
Jones.
see any issues at this time with this
So they
proposal.
should be able to issue that permit then as soon as the notice period is over?
We're expecting that, correct. And
The only reason I'm asking is because I've heard 6 to 9 months with these things, so.
And that's true. Depending on the case and the design of your pier, depending on how it's being built, if it's just pilings drove in or screwed down, it's different than other structures of design. We're not having to put in backfill, we're not alterating flowing rivers or creeks or other tributaries as a result of this. So the requirement of the permit and the process can be less involved than one that has to be fully engineered with core samples drilling down 20, 30 feet to understand the substrates and et cetera around the lake areas. So with our process, I'm thinking that we're probably more along the 90-day mark would be reasonable, and I really expect that we're going to be hearing something early in April. The contractor, when he receives his money and he gets his parts in, he's planning on bringing his equipment over here and starting that, even though he doesn't have a payment yet. He's putting this onto the books to hold it out because he's probably 3 months, 4 months in backlog right now. And with us having started this whole process last year, he understands and he's putting us in, awaiting the results of what we're all trying to do here this evening.
I'd just like to add one thing. As you remember, when Enbridge was coming through, I was able to get a grant from them, so we have $15,000 that they gave us for that pier, okay? And that is in our general fund, so that is to be part of that, okay? And as you know, we also got a grant in the park there that helped us pay for the restrooms that are all in there. All those were from Enbridge
right.
related that we were able to settle some violations out on, and that we got some donations.
But also worked a couple of years on the tower also that's been capable of providing funding for our parks so that the township's not burdened with those costs as well too.
I just want everybody to understand that the parks, we have no millage for the parks. Our parks work on volunteers, and we put the Verizon tower there, which gives the park exclusive all the money from the tower. So that's how we're able to support all the things we're doing in our parks. And so it's kind of self-sufficient at this point. But it needs a little bit of money from us so that we can get some of these grants. So that's, anyways, the township, this is a one-time expenditure, and it will go forward.
Paula, you had some questions?
I have a
please?
couple of questions. A little bit is more as far as procedure goes, but about the dock in itself. So a lot of this area in this park is going to be accessible, and I know that the Eagle approves for the insertion of the dock. What on the surface of the dock makes it accessible? Like, what's going to be there? Anything?
The
Rails?
dock is going to be a steel base and platform. There will be cross members that will be steel, and then on that they'll lay wood rails, and there'll be wood decking to that. From the steel post, and I might be off, but I believe they're every 8 or 9 feet on the post. From the post, we'll come up with a 4-inch steel tube, and we'll come up about 42 inches high. There'll be another one at about 24 inches, 2 horizontal rails to protect persons that walk out there from not falling over. That would be worst case scenario, right? Especially with the way that we're trying to offer use to the public. Those rails will be steel. We don't want wood. We want to make certain that they're solid, they're firm, and they're dependable. So the surface areas will be, the rails will be steel, but the decking, I believe, is wood. I don't believe that it's
There's 2x8 decking boards used.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the wood decking, it's not a composite. Did that answer your question?
Pretty much, so it's going to be rails
Steel
so
rails
that
around
nobody
the
can actually
top.
exit off that dock. It's going
Yeah,
to,
it'll be steel and then wood decking placed on that.
good.
The building department would still obtain a permit from them.
I'm sorry?
Building department would still review and you'd obtain a permit, or at least an inspection from the building department for this.
Well, I'm sure all of that would be appropriate.
My last question, and I don't know where it should go, as far as payment, he wants 50% up front. So I'm thinking that it probably needs to come out of our 22-23 budget, which goes into effect April 1st. So if the board approves this, is that going to be okay?
It will be okay, absolutely. However, we've been working on this for well over 2 years, trying to bring it together. We've been getting the prices for a year. This young gentleman's been working with us, trying to get us on the books. And we told him that as soon as this board is reviewed, if the approval is done, we'll have it very quickly. I would encourage you to please not put it a day past that, because every day that passes means it could be another couple of weeks or a couple of months before we can bring him in on scheduling. But, you know, I don't think a week,
So he
about
can
2
go
weeks
ahead
is
and
going to
plan.
kill it.
Okay.
But
And then
I would say
paper,
just try
I'm
not
gonna
to
need
let it
some.
go 8 weeks.
No, that won't happen. And then I'll just touch base with Jamie as we're gonna need paperwork from this gentleman prior to cutting that check, so I won't bore the board with that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Legal also has to review this agreement, but we'll get all that stuff done as
Sure.
well.
Great.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You had mentioned using ARPA funds for this. Is that something to talk about, or are you not wanting to use them?
I think we would still go ahead and cut from ours, and then when the board decides what we're using ARPA funds, we can always go back.
I think we have the funds that, the bottom line is, maybe we use ARPA funds for the next phase of it or whatever too. So, I mean, the next phase would be for the launching for the kayaks and stuff. We could use it for that. Or even for the parking lot up farther where we have the facility for the people with disabilities to get set so they can go back there at the Red Barn. We have some issues there. We can use ARPA funds for that also.
No, I think where she's going is that we wouldn't have to wait if we decided to use ARPA funds and Davis, because part of what you're gonna have to do is check with Davis on ARPA funds. He wouldn't have to wait until
Accounting-wise,
4/1.
accounting-wise, we can put this in as a prepaid and then you reverse it in the next fiscal year, so waiting is not a barrier, even if we pull it out of parks.
No. I would have to wait till 4/1 if we're gonna go with the budget.
But you put it in as prepay and then it's like an accrual. But that's fine, you can wait till 4/1.
We'll work on it.
All right.
Okay.
Before I leave, I'd like to thank you folks for all the effort with that, as well as put a pun in for all of our volunteers in the parks. They put a tremendous amount of time and effort in. We welcome you all to come through and see what we have in this area. We're tremendously fortunate to have it. Thank you, folks.
Okay. Was there another comment from somebody? Yes.
My husband likes to fish, and he tried to go down to that lake with his aluminum boat one time, and with our son, and he helped him get down with it. But even my son, they couldn't get the boat back up that thing. Now, is there going to be a way where you can kind of drive around and drop your boat up?
With the grant that we got, it's supposed to be a passive park, so we can't put roads down there or anything, so the paths are approved, and that's why these are passive parks. These are not parks where we can put driveways down or anything like that. And
There's no way to get a aluminum boat down, so they're not. My husband's had back surgery and both arm surgeries.
yeah,
And he likes to fish, but he can't get, the only way they got out is my son went and asked one of the neighbors that live on the lake and has that one dock. He let them come out his dock, but he said it wasn't going to be an everyday thing.
well, we can always try to get some volunteers to help you or something, some Boy Scouts or whatever we can do. I'm too old, but I'll get you somebody
He
younger.
wheels on, he got down with wheels on, he's trying to get it back up.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Any other comments? Okay,
I'd just like to thank Rob for sharing that it's handicap accessible and for all your time and effort. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the specifications and expenditure for a pier at Lake George Park in the amount of $54,480 from the 2022-2023 budget, account 208-751-954-001.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion from the board? Not hearing any, could we have roll call, please?
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Blazak. Thank you for all the work. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the park there, but when we first started, there was nothing there. There wasn't even a parking lot on Watershed Park. We've done an awful lot of work. All the volunteers up on the Lake George one, we're getting there. I mean, we have restrooms now on both sides of the Slating Lake now. We have a parking area. We have a meeting room, and the old schoolhouse have moved up there. And we have docks out there now, and we have lighting out there. We have electricity out there. And now we're on to Lake George, and we're making that handicap accessible in the barn so that they can stage there. And then we have lots of volunteer groups that have offered to help with the people with disabilities to get back to where they need. So the park committee has just done a phenomenal job. I believe since 2008, when a lot of us were elected in 2008, and all these years, this has been all done with volunteers. People think this stuff just appeared out of nowhere, but it's been all done with volunteers, so thank you very much.
It's not me or the board, it's the volunteers that do this, and they've got some great people here, so they're all proud of this township and offer their time freely. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 8. Authorize the conceptual design phase 1 with PIA, that's Partners in Architecture, for $14,750, and proposal from the Fire Capital 213-336-975-005. The board authorized Jerry to go out and get an estimate for the work for Station 2 remodel. We need to start with the conceptual design. First of all, anybody have any questions?
No, I think the proposal kind of outlays all of the steps that we're going to have to go through. Jerry's letter kind of just goes through with that too, so I'd like to make a motion to authorize a conceptual design phase.
Could I have 1 second here?
Yeah.
I know, I think we put in the, just in the last discussion about waiving the ordinance for professional services.
yes.
I'd like to just put in ask for a motion, first of all, to waive the ordinance for professional services, because it's Partners in Architecture who also designed this building here, so we already...
I'll make that motion to waive the purchasing ordinance, as this is a professional service.
I'll support.
And wait, who supported?
Karen.
Karen?
Lori.
She beat you? Okay, Karen supported. Do we have any conversations on this? I need roll call on this.
Karen Geibel?
Yes.
Jacob Newby?
Yes.
Linda Garrick?
Yes.
Ed Brakefield?
Yes.
Lori Fisher?
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson?
Yes.
And then
okay.
I'll continue the motion to authorize the conceptual design phase 1 with PIA for $14,750 from Fire Capital 213-336-975-005.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion on this? Not hearing any. Could we have roll call, please?
Ed Brakefield?
Yes.
Karen Geibel? Yes. Jacob Newby?
Yes.
Linda Garrick?
Yes.
Laura Fisher?
Yes.
Fisher? Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson?
Yes, and that passes. Now we'll move on to number 9, request to provide mileage reimbursement for Meals on Wheels volunteers. We received a request from residents seeking reimbursement for mileage while delivering Meals on Wheels. I think that's a reasonable request, especially with the increase in gas prices. This should take effect April 1st, 2022. A list of drivers for Addison should be supplied to the township, as well as drivers should turn in their requests for the reimbursement, and they should also bring in their mileage and the date to the clerk's office for reimbursement. Mileage reimbursement should be for delivery to Addison Township residents. Typically, we issue repeat requests on a monthly basis. I believe the motion would be in order to approve for April 1st, 2022 to reimburse Meals on Wheels for delivery for Addison Township only residents. All requests shall be accompanied by a request for reimbursement as indicated by the township, with reimbursement from Community Projects 101-261-884-000. And I would like to add that the mileage should start at the library where they pick up the food, and it should end at the library when they're done, so that we know there's a start and an end to where the delivery and end is. So, does anybody have any comments? Yes.
How many cents a mile?
The going
Well,
rate.
the federal,
That'd be
58.5.
So whatever the federal rate is?
Yeah.
5.8, right? 5.85?
I think that's what it is.
0.585.
didn't hear that in there.
It looks
It's
like-
not because it's whatever our mileage rate is, so,
If you-
no, it's not.
Go right ahead if you got something to say.
I guess, I'm just wondering if there's going to be an implication towards our workers' comp if this starts getting into a gray area of these people are now doing something for the township that they're being reimbursed. Additionally, would we have to 1099 them? Because.
Not for mileage is not a 1099 item, just like we have volunteers for the park, which is covered under our liability insurance, I believe. And we don't 1099. You don't 1099 for mileage, only hours.
Yeah, we don't pay any tax or anything on mileage.
So they're not technically working for the township.
No, they're not employees.
But if we're reimbursing, that starts changing that a little bit in my mind, that there is, that we're coordinating it, or that if we're reimbursing them for an expense, it's, I think it gets into a little bit of a gray area.
Should we ask legal to look into it?
We can add that to the motion.
Well, might I just say that?
I'm in support of it overall.
We do have volunteers, and we do reimburse them for their for their fuel and different things on here when they were putting in the sledding hill and different things. So I don't think it's abnormal to reimburse them for. And on the Pollyant Trail, we reimburse for the fuel for the wood chipper. Because it uses a lot of fuel. I don't think that's a problem. It looks like what it is they put on I think 16 miles a day, so 5 days a week. So we're looking at so 16 miles. Yeah, and we only have 5 people who are 5 stops receiving Meals on Wheels.
You would have to check to find out if this group would be covered under liability, and then the motion would say contingent upon that and contingent upon legal review.
Well, they're not. Are they delivering for us, or are they delivering for Meals on Wheels?
They're delivering for Meals on Wheels. We're reimbursing their mileage as Oxford does.
We can check with legal, just make sure, but I think that anybody who volunteers, if you're just reimbursing them for their fuel, I don't think that's an
Bruce,
issue.
could I make a motion that we approve the mileage for Meals on Wheels drivers for Addison Township only, unless legal finds a problem with it? Is
I
that
think
what-
we need to include the other items that Bruce had.
I know, but I couldn't remember all the numbers he had.
The mileage starts at the library and ends at the library, and for township
thank
residents
you.
only. Okay.
And that scribble.
Oh, God. Here, would you make the
want me to
motion?
make
You've
it?
got, Pauline's
Okay.
got scribble and
I know you can't read my handwriting, I'm sorry. Motion to approve starting April 1st, 2022, to reimburse Meal on Wheel drivers for delivery in Addison Township. All requests shall be accompanied by a request for reimbursement as indicated by the township with reimbursement from community projects. All mileage shall start and at the library and end at the library. And the motion is contingent upon review with our insurance company for liability and review with our legal.
I'm waiting on Jacob to second it. I'll second it. Jacob's so
Okay, we
fast
have a
at seconding.
second. Okay, any other discussion on this? And we'll turn that over to legal to see if we can do it. No further discussion? Have roll call on that, please.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Karen Guybo. Yes. Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. We're getting down there. Number 10. ARPA funds and the possible uses. Once again, we've got quite a few. We've got test wells at Copper Hills, expand uses in the township parks, playground equipment, improve township park, including a track professional plan for township park for use for grant applications, fitness court at the township park. Is that for me?
For anyone.
I just wonder if they're giving me a hint or something. But it was dock at Lake George, broadband, fire station number 2 remodeling, Township air filtration, library new construction project areas as requested, township meeting room sound system, resurface the parking lot, and reimburse the fire department for radios and the Pollyant Trail. And we have a total of $648,840. So, anybody else have any other things that they'd like to add to that?
That's enough.
Okay, well, next month I'd like to present the projects and the allocations. If the board would start thinking about what they'd like to allocate, then next month I think we'll be able to handle that. So I don't think anything's needed at this time. Okay. We move on to item number 11, authorization for specifications and agreements. This is for Pauline again, for the Columbariums.
You can tell because hers are the long ones.
In keeping with the time frame, and it takes a month for the foundation to cure, the engineers created a proposal for us to review. Upon our review, we should approve contingent upon legal review and approvals, authorizing legal to make any necessary changes. Anybody have any questions on this? This is just to get this thing moving and get all the heavy work done. I'm looking for is a motion to approve the Columbarium proposal contingent upon legal review and authorizing legal counsel to make any necessary changes.
I make that motion, but would like to have the board updated via email.
From Mr. Davis?
Please, yes.
I'll second that. What?
Don't you want the final product?
Well, I wanted to, we gotta see what the changes are. Is it gonna come back to the board before we?
If, that's what I was kind of hoping, that you would just let Mr. Davis review and change. I read this all weekend, and there's definitely changes. And then, once those changes are made through PEA, then I would like to send that out to the board so that you can see what the final version is. So by moving this forward, you're allowing us to go forward with the specification and to put it out for bids.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So that
Yes,
you
yeah, I was
you would
thinking it was gonna
actually
just be updated, but we're gonna get the final at the end.
before it goes out for bids. I will send it to all you guys. So then, is that what you mean by updated, so that you see the final?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
A second to hold.
And we have a second?
Yeah.
Any further discussion on this? Not hearing any, do we have a roll call, please?
Karen Gabel.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, okay, that passes. Now we're going to Tri-County gravel. Tri-party gravel expenditure, this is an easy one. Everybody wants gravel on the roads. And we'll be going out looking at, see where we need to put the gravel on the roads. But the expenditure for us is $19,047 out of the 22-23. And as you know, we get matching of the same amount from the county and from the road commission. So it makes it so that we can do between 1.5 miles, 2 miles of new gravel. And then we try to, I go around with the road commission. Right now, as you know, we haven't had a foreman in the road commission, so I've been out driving the roads and then calling them as I'm bumping through the bumps. I call downtown to Bloomfield Hills there, and they've been sending graders out here, but we have not had a foreman since July. He was ill. And the foreman, like I said last month, from Oxford, who used to help, he got COVID and passed away here a couple weeks ago. So we don't really have any other help except the superintendent, who is also busy. But I've been calling downtown and making myself known, and we've been getting graders out here. So if the frost gets out of the ground, then I'll be able to go around and assess where we need this gravel this year. So anyways, what I'm looking for is a motion to expend that much money, $19,047.
I'll make the motion to move the tri-party expenditure for gravel, $19,047 from the 2022-23 budget account number 101-446-934-002.
I'll support.
And we have support. Any other comments from the board members? Not hearing any, can we have roll call on that, please?
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Karen Geibel. Yes. Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Roy Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Now we have the resolution in opposition of House Bill 653, this proposal to increase our taxes in Oakland and Wayne County for Wayne County museums. It's now being reviewed at the Senate level to remove Oakland County from the bill. It is my understanding that they are working on this, and by passing this resolution, it offers support to that action.
Yeah, so the reason I was bringing it to the board, and I thought it was important, was because it was in committee a few weeks ago, and basically it's a tax to provide money for 2 museums in Wayne County, and there's really no benefit to our area, and yeah, it's an unnecessary tax for us, and we shouldn't have been included in it.
Any other comments from the board?
I agree with Jacob, totally.
Which 2 museums is this benefiting?
I know one was the Wright History Museum, and then
Not the DIA, it was
no, it's a different one.
the Arts Museum across the street from the DIA, I believe.
Detroit Historical Society and the Charles H. Wright Museum.
The issue was brought up that was there going to be money for Oakland County museums, and that was not included. So I think that's what the gist of the problem here is.
So
Yes.
are other communities in Oakland County also attempting to pass resolutions, and where will this go if we do pass it?
So I imagine it will go to our state senator as well as maybe the Senate committee, the general body that's going to be meeting about it. But Oxford recently passed one that was similar, almost exactly to this, with just a few changes. And I imagine that it'll be impactful in Lansing when they see it.
I will say it was brought up at the supervisors meeting with all the other supervisors and the northern supervisors who were in the same thought that it does not benefit us. They'd rather, I guess, pay to go to those museums if they're not going to help our museums. They asked about, matter of fact, I believe they asked about the museum in West Bloomfield if it was going to go to the Holocaust Museum, and they said no, there's no funding for them either. So it's just for these 2 museums in Detroit. Yes.
To add to that, they were looking for about $42 million a year to run their 2 budgets. It would cost Addison Township about $160,000 a year, or $3.2 million over the course of the 20 years that they're asking for the money. So
They divided it up 25 and 17 million between the 2.
So it seems that after the DIA passed their museum and the zoo, we pay a millage for that. So apparently other museums in the area decided, hey, we'll just ask for money as well. But it has to stop someplace.
I would like to move forward on this resolution in opposition to History Museum Authorities Act, SB 653.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and we have support. Any other comments from board members?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment one thing. The regional authorities that have been coming up in Lansing in the past few years, such as the Regional Transit Authority, I know the zoos, people like that, but I noticed one trend, and that's they're not including Macomb County. So when it ever comes to a vote, they know that Macomb County is probably not going to be voting with them. So I think it's rather unfair that they're doing this, you know, especially if they consider it a regional problem or a regional solution that they're offering. That I think it should be, you know, focused on them if they want to do that, but leave us out of it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. No further comments? We'll have roll call, please.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Karen Geibel.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Roy Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, resolution is so moved. Okay, we'll move on to public forum. This is a chance where anybody in the public who would like to speak can come up here and speak.
Hey Bruce, it was timely that you mentioned the gravel stuff. Is there any way that we can go back to having the public forums with the road commission from Oakland County? The reason being is, as you know, we don't have a supervisor. They're the ones out here taking care of the roads. And when they do come out and they grade, especially Hosner, there's culverts that have been filled in with that precious gravel that you're spending $19,000 on. We've got drainage pipes that are filled in because what they like to do is come out and rush doing grading the day before we're going to have torrential rains in the summertime. So it all just washes down into the culverts, into the pipes, and onto private property. They're mismanaging this area.
Amen.
And let's have a public forum with them so they can understand how bad they're screwing up. Such as like on Drainer Hill, where they took out with the snowplow, took out all the, as I call it, the idiot poles where you know where the cliff is. They don't know how bad their people are, the poor jobs they're doing in this area. I think we need to remind them because they're not answering our phone calls. They're not answering the call sheets that we have for them to come out and grade. Hosner is terrible between the hills, by Honeybee. They let one guy fill in a culvert and put in a drain tile, which is plugged, so the water has nowhere to go. And their graders that they're sending out here, I don't know if these guys are educated enough to know how to grade with a center cap in the middle of the road. They're cutting down in between hills, and the water just sits. So I think it would behoove us to have a public forum with them, and let's get them out here and have them see what's going on. Let's make them accountable.
Let's make them a ride on the roads.
Yeah. I mean, right now,
On a tour.
right now, being that my wife recovered from a broken neck, she can't go out anywhere because the Hosner Road is just terrible. She can't take the jostling of the road. It's
Usually I don't speak, but I just put 47 miles on my truck driving through all the roads here. And like I said, as I was talking, going through the bumps to them downtown in Beverly Hills, there I was explaining how bad the roads are, and I told them I don't need you to come out and do all the roads right now. I know everybody. I said just get the bad ones. I said I can't get an ambulance. I'd kill the people on the way to the hospital if you put them in an ambulance, okay? And I can't get the fire engines without breaking an axle because they're carrying all this water. So I just need them right now until the frost gets out of the ground. When we had Chris Dow, who was out here as our foreman, we got a lot done. And when we had Christian out here, we got a lot done. But Chris Dow got promoted. He's running everything over in Independence now in that area. And Christian has taken a different job after he got through all of his issues. And just 2 weeks ago, he's now taking an inside job at the garage. So we have nobody. They cannot get people to come work. That's the problem. They can't fulfill.
They don't know how to manage though.
Well, they just can't get anybody. They have all these job openings and nobody's applying, okay? So
I mean, we have a private road. They came down last winter and tore up 300 feet of my lawn, and then basically had the nerve to tell me it was some other contractor that did it. And I've got the tire tracks, it's...
But anyways, yes, thank you very much.
The other item we have, you're talking about the government money to use. Our area, Honeybee, White Pine, Hosner, we got crappy cell phone service in the area. So if there's any calls you can make and try to get them to turn up the signal, hell, I'll let them put a pole on the back corner of my property if they want.
I got notice it's going to get worse shortly, okay? Because as you know, 3G is going to be gone at the end of this year, and everybody up in our northwest section is going to lose the cell phone coverage because that was only working on 3G up there. So we know that it's going to get worse. But I have talked to Verizon, and they're 3 years behind even if we got a site approval today. So there is one right now that might help us, that the tower is up. It's on Stony Creek between Lake George and Rochester Road. And that one will be activated shortly, so maybe that should help maybe your area. It has to be within 5 miles of the tower, so I know everybody loses their signal going down Rochester Road, but that will cure that, and it should cure all the way over to Adams Road there. So we'll see how that works. But that one, the tower's up already. I went and inspected it in Oakland Township myself, and, but once again, it's hard to get all the material to put these towers in because there's a backlog.
And finally, if you're coming off a Drainer Road south on the hill on Hosner, on your east side of the road, you probably got $19,000 worth of road gravel that's washed off in the guy's property right there. If you ever want to go back there with a backhoe and dig it out, I mean, I'm sure Paul would be happy to give it back to the roadway.
Very good.
All right.
Anybody else in public forum?
I got one.
Yes.
Hi. It's hard to not smile standing here today. Thank you guys for voting on our library plan today. And I really want to call out Pauline and your efforts working with my right-hand man here, James, on our site plan and getting all this resolved so that we can get here today and have you guys vote on it.
And we're very happy that, you just have to understand that the township, you guys have your own board. You're
I understand.
You're elected, and
I'm here on
we have
behalf
to
of the
let
board.
you do it.
Thank you guys for working with us.
But because we can't do it, but we might be able to help you out in the future.
Yeah, you know, it's exciting times.
We're all happy that you got that money too, so.
Oh, man, not as happy as I am. But thanks again, and look forward. It's, you know, we got probably 18 months, 20 months before we're walking in and checking books out of the new library, but anytime.
We might be able to help you out a little bit in the future here.
Oh,
so,
fantastic.
But we just couldn't do this for you because we're not on that board. We don't have any say whatsoever. And anyways, that's enough said, but you did it, and
we all
I talked to Congresswoman Slockton. She was extremely happy. She said, you guys.
Pauline sent me the email that said, hey, you might look into this. Keep sending those, Pauline.
I just sent you another one.
Today?
It was this morning, I thought.
I didn't see it. All right, well, the one you sent me last week, that one's already out the door. So keep sending me those things.
Maybe next year I'm going to start for the playground, but.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on public forum? Yes.
Hi, I'm Patty Smith. I live on Hagerman Road, 3280. Bruce, I've been trying to get a hold of you, and you're a busy
I was
person.
down on your road looking at it, and they did get a grader down there, and Frick Road is just, is bad too, but I got on there, I called them right from your road, and they did get out there, and,
Frick Road is one lane, but first I want to be positive. Jamie did an awesome job, and I'd like to thank Jacob for trucking through and counting the former gypsy moth egg sacs on our property. So thank you for that. I went and filled out the form and went on public record, public comment on last week, Thursday. And they told me, on the record, they said this, that they have a foreman and that it's you guys' decision on what roads get gravel.
well, the gravel doesn't, I'll explain. When we put in the money for the gravel doesn't show up till October, okay? So you're talking about right now, it's not going to help us right now.
Oh, no.
We only get a mile, and if you remember a few years ago, when nobody wanted gravel, we bought everybody's gravel, okay? We did 46 miles of gravel, every one of our roads here, and now we've just about done it twice now. And then everybody caught on to what I was doing, okay? And so now they all want their money for their gravel, so, but all I can get, this is all I can get from them is about $60,000 worth of gravel. And because of the trucking cost, it's gone astronomically. It's shrunk. I used to be able to get almost 3 miles of gravel a year. Now it's shrunk down to about 1.5 miles because the gravel's gone up and the trucking and the fuel costs have gone up. So I get about $60,000 of it. And we do go around and we try to, hit the really bad areas. It's very hard, but the frost is coming out right now.
Well, I kept in it. So they had someone call me prior to the meeting to keep me from going and asking questions, okay? They said, we can answer our questions. And their response was that no one should buy property on a gravel road.
Well,
that's what they told me. So it's my fault for moving out here. And so anyways, they did tell me that they adequately supervise the people that are working on the back roads here, so I just wanted you to know that.
I would just add one thing. I called up last week and I said, this is Supervisor Bruce Pearson, and I'd like to speak to the people who are in charge of the gravel. And the lady was very rude to me, and she said, "You called already, quit calling." And I said, "No, my name is Bruce Pearson, the Addison Township Supervisor." She said, "I told you, you quit calling." I said, "I have never called this number ever and spoke to you, ma'am." I said, "I always speak with the higher ups, and that's who I'm speaking with." I said, "You must have me mistaken for someone else, because I have never called here." And then her tone changed. And then they got me to the people. I have as much trouble getting through as you do.
You don't have to listen to the 5-minute spiel about how bad the roads are in Oakland County.
I usually have my magic phone that has all their cell phone numbers, but like I said, we do not have a foreman here. They issued a new foreman over in Oxford now since Mike Young passed away. But we do not have a foreman as of right now, and I will tell you, I've been on the phone demanding that we should have a foreman up here.
Me too. I've emailed all the people on the board, and I think that's why the guy called me.
Maybe we should have a resolution on this, that we get a foreman. But I will call again. It's been since July.
So Frick Road is one lane right now. The north side, like
it's
around
swampy,
600.
and that's our problem with a lot of our roads. They were put in as wagon paths, and they were never ditched.
I'm just doing the chain of command, so I'm going to go further. But I'm dotting all my...
Done with you.
We will try, okay? I'll be on it.
I got that one. Hey, Bruce, just so you know that when Dana and I call, we always use your name.
Yeah.
That's why the lady wanted to hang up.
Hang up.
We should try that one.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
You know who I am?
Yeah. Okay, I think we're done with public forum, are we not? Or
I like that.
Again, James Osirelli, just representing the library on this comment here. The ARPA funds, I was super excited to hear that you guys even considered the library project as being a potential use for some of those funds. And we do have a building committee that meets and probably meet more frequently now that the project is a lot more promising. I encourage you guys, if you want to come listen to those building committee meetings, they're open. You can contact myself. I chair those meetings, and I would love to work with you guys to bring in, resources to the community that the library can give back. And, if you go over there and you meet the staff and you see the people that use that library, you start to realize that Addison Township Public Library is a little bit more than just a building with books, and they offer a lot to this community. I came to this meeting from over there, and there was 2 groups in there, Battle of the Books, Leonard Elementary. So a bunch of kids all over. It's awesome. It's a really great place, and it would be great to work together.
we agree very much. We were there, I remember I was there painting the first time we moved over. We knocked the walls out. We did an awful lot of work. I know Lori was there, painting, and her kids were there. I mean, everybody was there. I mean, everybody helped. So,
absolutely.
We're very happy, and thank you for all your work on it, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, if that's the end of a public forum, I will just say I don't have a whole lot. Well, first of all, Addison Township reports. Anybody have a report from the board? Nothing? Legal communications?
I do have 2 that weren't addressed.
I knew you would.
I know. One goes with the single service hauler, and it is from Terry and Karen Wiegand. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but they're concerned about being able to opt out. And the other one that wasn't addressed in the board pack was from Nancy Martin, and it goes back to an agenda item. She also concurred with getting reimbursed for mileage for the Meals on Wheels. Thank you.
Okay. And I pretty much, I'll go on to the supervisor report. Someone asked me, how come we didn't get a quote and spray the whole township? We did find out. It was $3.5 million. We just don't have that. you know, so, and there's a lot of empty fields that don't have trees, so we went to the high-density areas that the trees were devastated, so that everybody understands that the first year when the trees get eaten up, the second year they'll come back. If they get eaten up the second year, it puts a lot of stress on them, and that's when they die. And then they're going after the majestic oaks. That's their favorite meal, okay? So that's why we hit the parts that were really devastated, and we're trying to save the trees, okay? And it moves from west to east with the wind, okay? They don't fly, you know, they drift with their web. And so that's why we're trying, the only ones that fly are the males, okay? The females do not fly, they just swing like Tarzan from tree to tree, and so that's why we try to stop it. So, yes?
Is it open to the public just for a short comment?
I don't know, we've heard from you an awful lot, but go right ahead.
Well, I've been in the community a short while, just 20 years compared to many years for multiple other residents. But in the 20 years that I've been here, I've seen the gypsy moths come through, and we lost probably 30% of the old forest trees that we had. We've had 250-year-old, 300-year-old trees that it would take 2 to 3 people to put their arms around. That's not a renewable resource. These oak trees aren't renewable resources. Our parks are not renewable resources without a great amount of time. We know what happens when we don't do anything. And at the rate we're seeing these disappear, I would encourage you all to consider something. Do your research, do your checks, call multiple other sources, do cross-checks, but please do something. Don't do nothing means we're going to continue to lose at the same rate, if not faster. And we've got a resource in this community that we're tremendously fortunate to have. It's the natural resources and it's our human resources. And we need to protect both of those. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we're about done. I'm done. I have nothing else to say. I've run out of words tonight, so, and that's very rare. So. But anyways, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Support. We have support? I think Karen seconded.
Karen?
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Elser.